Yes, sir. What's your question?
So my question is, how do you select the right doctor? And I've had health insurance for a long time now, but I don't know where to start. Where do I find
Do you
the right
mind
doctor?
telling me how old are you? You look like very young.
I
Or to give a range.
I'm 33.
Oh,
I'll be
33.
34 in May.
Yeah. So you're, a couple of years younger than I am. So, or 3 years. So, this is a very important question. First, if you have your insurance card, call the 1-800 number, okay, and that'll give you a network because there are many different kinds of insurances. There's a HMO model, which is capitated. There's a PPO, preferred provider model, and then there's free insurance of policy that can allow you to see anybody. But what I would recommend is you definitely should get a primary care provider. Now, I wrote a book on the heart, Your Heart House, an artist's approach to understanding heart health, and I made a video on my website like why this is important for people even with healthy hearts, because you are the future, correct? So the analogy I give is, people come to me and let's say, you're driving your car. Do you get it serviced every 6 months to a year?
Yeah, I do. It's over there upstairs getting serviced right now.
Oh, it is getting
actually.
serviced right now.
Right now.
How ironic
That's
is
why
that?
I'm here.
And that's why you're here at Barnes & Noble. So, why do you not servicing on your heart or on your health? You're assuming that
it's okay.
you're going to drive, and one day when the brakes fail, then you're going to call 911 because you have the opportunity in this country, which unfortunately most countries don't have. Like the country I come from, in India, don't have a 911 system.
Yes.
So people just die. And you're fortunate that you live in a country that has a 911 and an emergency response system, which is superbly funded and managed in such a way that you can quickly get to the nearest hospital, and we can give you the
And
life-saving.
it's funded by me and you and him because we pay taxes.
Correct. Well, that and our insurance premiums perhaps. But
Yes.
what I'm saying is, our state tax goes to an ambulance, right? Our county taxes go to the ambulance. So I'm not going to get political, but just focusing on the health issue is, why should a young guy like you not have a yearly service just like you do on your car? Because if there is a problem, like there's a screening thing, like we check your blood pressure, we run a cholesterol check on you, we ask you a few questionnaires, and we ask you about your family history, we ask you about your lifestyle, and we ask you about whether you smoke or you drink. We ask you unless you bring it, just like unless the Sears guy plugs your car in, he does not have any knowledge of what your car looks like.
No, it makes sense.
Unless you get into the service line and plug yourself in the service line, which means to a primary care doctor, who's the basic starting point, we won't know how this body is functioning. And so then one day you're gonna be either have a brake fail or the engine collapse or a suspension go bad or a transmission that goes out, and then you'll be there asking us to come in the middle of the night, which is fair, we get paid for it. But why can't we take care of it as a preventative step?
I agree. And how many people like me who are paying for health care but not using it?
Yes, and
There's got to be millions.
There has to be, because especially, I'm not very familiar with the politics, but I know there was a mandate with Obamacare that everybody, all business owners have to give their employees an option, or people have to now mandate and get insurance. So you are actually losing on both sides, because you have an insurance and there's once a year free physical.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that as soon as you pick your car today, you're going to call the number and make an appointment for a yearly check. It's going to cost you $0, because it's going to be less than what you pay at the Sears store today.
Incidentally, through my health care, I was recently promoted to salary, so I have to pay for it now. But everybody that is on hourly pay where I work, which is at a distribution center,
right,
gets free health care.
Right.
And it's Dynamite Healthcare. United Healthcare
is Dynamite.
Free. And I have told this to many people, when I should take my own advice. Use it.
Right.
It's free.
And what I'm saying is just once a year physical. This is important, and that's why I wrote the book. There are two kinds of people out there. There are the followers and the non-followers. Okay? the followers coming into the medical service line, and they think of doctors as God. Doctors are not gods. You know, we work on X amount of information that you're trained for, you're certified in, and by experience we gain knowledge, just like your Sears mechanic is. He's not God, right?
Right. He's
So
a mechanic.
He's a mechanic. So we are all in a service line in our jobs trained to take care of the problems. So the followers then come in and they say, well, just do everything, and you tell them to do this and this and this. They don't know much, right? If the Sear guy tell you got transmission out, you're like, well, I got it checked 6 months ago and there wasn't a problem. Tell me a little bit more detail, right?
Right.
So, but unfortunately, these followers don't have the knowledge, or don't even understand their health enough. They just take it as an advice and say yes, 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 and that leads to a lot of waste in medicine.
Yeah,
right?
That makes sense.
And that's what this book is about, is to empower you, so you understand your heart, you understand how the different parts of the heart work. So then when you go to a heart doctor and he tells you you got this problem or that problem, or you got a valve leak, or you got a blockage, or you got a calcium, or you got a plaque, or you got an abnormal EKG, what it all means. See what I'm saying? Then on the other side, we have people who are non-followers. Like you're saying, these people you are even on insurance, but they don't follow the faith of medicine. In their heads, they're like, well, this doctor is ordering this test because he wants to buy a new Mercedes. I put that in the book because I've had somebody tell me that. And I'm like, okay, so that what he taught me was that there are some non-followers out there, no matter whether they have insurance or not. They just think of doctors as, well, I'm not going in because he's going to run a bunch of tests and I'm going to spend a lot of money. Why don't I have the same thing about the mechanic. Every time I take care of my car,
you're worried they're going to do something they don't need to do.
They're going to do something you don't need to do. So, but then why are we still taking our cars and not going to doctors?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because it's mandated, right? You have an insurance, somebody's paying for you. It's free.
I'm glad I ran into you, because I've actually, it's been in my mind
once
that
a year,
I need to use
once
it,
a year,
but maybe
once
this
a year,
pushed me over
yearly
the edge
physical
where I need to
is
actually
free. And
get in there
then
and do
go
it.
in there and put your reservations. If you are somebody who's a non-believer, say, hey doc, I understand all this. I've been reading about all this, so please make sure you don't order tests. It's okay to say that. And if the guy has, a good heart in a way, like, they understand where the patient's coming from, and they treat you with all due respect that you deserve, they're going to be cognizant of that fact after a belief system. And that's what I call the artisan approach, not one size fits all. And so the idea is, by providing basic information about your heart health, that's what my book and my mission is, we can get a shared decision, which is ultimately leading to a precise medicine. Because this decision is precise and apt for this guy, with this bunch of risk factors and this belief system. That makes sense?
Yeah.
We can't just treat everybody the same.
No.
We can't force it. Because even if you try to force it, the data from pharmaceutical industry and from chemists, we call them chemists in India, but pharmacies here, they say the compliance rate for any drug is, like when Medicare databases were pulled, patients are fooling the doctors. There's research out there, I'll share. They nod their heads and say, yes, yes, yes. They come into our office and say, oh yeah, are you taking all these? Yes, 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 yes. And when you call, if you check on their pharmacy, they haven't filled their drugs for 3 years. So now, this is where I was talking about IT and AI, that strong systems are getting into place where we would be able to pull a good health system, would be able to put data into your put your pharmacy in the computer and pull out data on compliance to say, is this guy really taking it or not, or is he just nodding his head? And that would also be another step in practicing precise medicine, because otherwise, if people are lying to us just because they don't want to offend their doctor.
If you're going to lie to your doctor, what's the point in going?
Well, because the one day that they get really sick, they want their doctor around. That's the point. So just the point that we were discussing. They're going in and saying yes. So then when they're really sick and in their head they think like they're in the hospital and they need the doctor around, then the doctor doesn't feel like it's a relationship management.
Yes.
So then they know like, oh, he's a good patient, and the doctor's gonna go out of the way to help me. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what the physician psychologists are telling us. I mean, I'm telling you what the data is out there. I'm not making it up.
No, I understand what you're saying, and even how people treat you like you're a god. Really,
You're not.
a physician. I can help you if you're honest with me. If you give me honest feedback, I can diagnose it and tell you what to do to help.
And one other thing that I tell people is there are a lot of doctors out there who like really have shallow egos, and if a patient says I want a second opinion, they get offended. I don't, from 7 years into practice, I'll say, if I sense some trust issues, I'll ask them to get a second opinion, because there's only one of two things that can happen. If I'm wrong, they get the better advice, right? So it's a win situation for the patient. If I'm right, it increases my credibility. It's again a win for me and the patient.
That is awesome.
Right? Because
Thank you.
Because what is there to lose? Nothing. Because if I'm right, I'm going to look like the smartest doctor on earth, and the patient gets the right treatment. If I'm wrong,
The
God
patient
forbid,
gets the right treatment,
patient gets the right treatment. Now,
which
the
is what the point is of all of it. That's the
yes,
point.
what's the point? But problem is, you have to make sure that you don't have, like people backstabbing you. Because, when you're in a very environment, a competitive environment, like that doctor doesn't know. And so the plea out here is like, do the right thing for the patient. That's why the book
That's
is.
what it's all about.
You're right. And
or what it should be
but
all
if
about.
But if you educate them, they will become the roadblocks. So we will be able to weed these, bad apples, the bad doctors out.
Yeah.
See, if I taught you how this service center works, then you would be able to weed out.
So you just answered my original question by talking about yourself. How do I find the right doctor? Find one that isn't offended by a second opinion.
Well, that, and also by empowering yourself with the knowledge a little bit, so you don't go in just blind. Right? Like when I go and buy a watch, don't I do my own little research and say what is the CNET saying and reviews on this or TV?
Right.
Is it perfect? I mean, all of us.
All of us do that.
So why are we not doing this when we're treating medicine? Why are we closing our eyes? Why can't you go online and find something out?
Because feelings.
What do you mean feeling? You don't feel.
Because it's different. It isn't retail. It isn't an enterprise. It's personal.
But unfortunately, the administrators.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm
that's
saying
how
it's
the
personal, so we keep that stuff in.
Right, but the hospitals are treating it as enterprise. It has become an enterprise ecosystem for the hospital. Otherwise, there wouldn't be administrators. There would be physicians running the show, and we're not. We have become a servant to the administrators. So unfortunately, it is an enterprise.
Well,
so it's better that the consumers are awakened to that. See what I'm saying?
Well, the healthcare is an enterprise, but I'm saying the reason why people are more open about it is because it's personal.
Yes, I get it.
And they.
No, but if you're
there's a lot of people that know something is wrong, and they don't go to the doctor just because they don't want to hear the truth.
I see. So that's a psychological
yes,
denial.
It is a psychological denial, and it's operating on hope. I hope nothing is wrong. I hope nothing is going to break. But hope is not a tactic. It's just a feeling.
I know, but then the problem is that, and I see, I don't think that I'll be able to fix it. I don't think anybody can fix that part of it. But I think the only way to crack that nut is education. So, because I wrote that in the first chapter of the book, the anxious subject, that when you don't, what is fear? Fear is the result of unknown. That's exactly what I'm saying. But if you educate yourself, you'll not be fearful.
Yeah. You'll be less fearful.
Less fearful, but at least I'm giving you an option, a hope, or a solution.
Because we'll always be fearful because black holes.
No, I mean, and at the end, I'm a spiritualist. I feel like, life and death is not our hands. If you see a doctor and he can say, oh, you got 10 years left, leave the door, because that's for the bigger accountant up there
Yeah.
to decide life and death.
I
What
agree.
we are doing here is a facilitator role, based on the best information I can receive that I've learned through knowledge and going to school and my practice and my instinct. I'm delivering it to you as an experience based, out of what I learned. This is not God works, right?
Well, I'm really enjoying this, but I actually have
No,
an
I
eye
know.
exam right now.
No, that's fine. Thank you. You're a nice man.